recent times, Jamaica has experienced several significant tremors, which underscores the importance of earthquake preparedness. Across the Caribbean, 932 earthquakes were recorded in 2024, with 885 reaching magnitudes of up to 6 on the Richter scale. Government, through agencies like the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, will continue to integrate both physical resilience measures and a culture of preparedness into ongoing projects during the earthquake period and beyond. A quick reminder for your calendars. January is Earthquake Awareness Month, running from now until the 31st, with this year's theme, Prepare for the Quake, Reduce the Impact of the Shake. I'm your host, Audrey Williams, and welcome to another exciting episode of Jamaica Magazine. We've got a lot to share, including highlights from the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information's achievements in 2024. Plus, a look into the security forces' response to earthquakes. Stay with us. We have much more after this short break.
I am prepared and I'm ready.
We'll have the operationally efficient building.
We cannot allow murders to become normalized in our country.
Watch the full review of these 366 days right here on January 13.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, January 10, 2025. Jamaica earned $4.3 billion and received 4.3 million visitors in 2024. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett made the disclosure on our Get the Facts program recently. He said the sector finished the year strong despite the slight shortfall in arrival figures due to aviation disruptions, Hurricane Beryl, and geopolitical issues such as travel advisories.
Tourism, as you know, is resilient, and notwithstanding those disruptions, we are coming out of the year with a small increase in arrivals, but the earnings is in line with what we projected.
Minister Bartlett says Jamaica is on track to realize its growth strategy of 5 million visitors and earnings of $5 billion in 2025. He says 1.6 million airline seats have been secured so far for the winter season, which he revealed is the largest amount ever.
Assuming an 80% load factor, that is to say, the plane is coming 80% full.
Right.
We would bring 1.3 million visitors in that space, and that's a 12.9% increase over last year. So the winter is strong. The income from that, of course, goes in line. Winter is the strongest period for earnings in tourism.
Yes.
The ADRs are the highest during that period. And so we anticipate a very strong first quarter of 2025. And that will set the pace for the rest of 25, providing, of course, there aren't any other weather, mainly weather distractions and disruptions, as we call it.
Port Royal will become Jamaica's next economic hub following significant investments that have been made over the years in the East Kingston community. That's the word from Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness as he commissioned a new pipeline for Port Royal. Dr. Holness says critical investments in the cruise port, pier and customs facility, along with other developments, the town will generate revenue to fuel the island's economy.
Port Royal is going to become a new economic hub for Kingston. It will add to our GDP. It will create revenues which will more than pay back for the over $2 billion worth of investment that we have made when you add up everything together.
He added that new restaurants and museums will soon be opened to enhance the tourism experience.
All of this investment that is coming here, it is to create Port Royal as a new destination, not just for tourists to come, but to enhance what is already the case. Port Royal is the destination for people in Kingston and St. Andrew. On the weekends, the place is packed. It is an entertainment and festival destination.
The town will also benefit from road upgrades through the Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to our Road Network SPARK program. Rehabilitative works have commenced along Spanish Town Road and Mannings Hill Road in Kingston to address poor road conditions along these major thoroughfares. The National Works Agency NWA says the worst affected areas along the roadways are being targeted. Repair work started on January 7 and will continue for the next 2 weeks. The NWA's Communication and Customer Services Manager, Stephen Shaw, says the aim is to restore the corridors and provide smoother surfaces for road users. The work is being implemented under the $5 billion Relief Emergency Assistance and Community Help REACH program. Mr. Shaw says works have already begun on several roadways across the corporate area. Other targeted roadways include Michael Manley Boulevard, Old Hope Road from Matilda's Corner to UTEC, Waterloo Road, Red Hills Road, Eastwood Park Road, and East Kings House Road. Mr. Shaw says while the bulk of the rehabilitative works will be conducted outside peak traffic hours, motorists are being advised to proceed with caution along roadways prepared for rehabilitation. In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is reiterating his administration's commitment to easing the cost of living for Jamaicans. Speaking at the 19th Heal the Family, Heal the Nation gathering at the National Arena on Wednesday, Dr. Holness says his administration remains resolute to the prudent management of the economy.
Although the government is not the cause of the prices going up, the government is still responsible for the management of the economy. And one of the things we are committed to doing is to make life easier for the households. So if it is the electricity that is going to make your life more difficult, the cost of it, we're going to do something about it. If it is the water bill that you face, we have been doing something about it.
In his address, opposition leader Mark Golding called on Jamaicans to unite in making the country a better place.
Let us continue in a spirit of hope and in a spirit of unity to bring our country together to make Jamaica a better place for all of us to live in, for our children and our grandchildren and generations to come.
And finally, the Jamaica Defense Force JDF will host Exercise Event Horizon 2025, a multinational humanitarian aid and disaster response exercise focused on maritime law enforcement. The event is set to run from January 12th through to the 26th. The exercise is being done to strengthen the capabilities of participating nations in maritime security, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, cybersecurity, and aeronautical and maritime search and rescue operations. Command of the Maritime Air and Cyber Command, Brigadier Elon Clark, gave the details of the event during a JIS think tank held yesterday. He explained that the exercise will address critical threats such as illicit trafficking, migration, search and rescue, natural disasters, and cyber threats.
We realize that these threats do not respect borders. And it would be a bit myopic of us to think that any one country is able to address these threats independently. And so we conceptualized Exercise Event Horizon as a multinational, multi-agency, multi-domain exercise.
The event will involve 14 countries from Europe, North, Central, and South America, and the Caribbean. In addition, vessels, aircraft, and personnel from various defense and security institutions will contribute to the exercise. To conclude the event, a comprehensive rubric assessment will be conducted to evaluate each participating entity's ability to respond to actual emergencies. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
A lot can happen in a year. And thus was the case in the Ministry of Justice for 2024. Join us for the review of these 366 days.
Thank you for staying with us. Up next, a comprehensive review of the year 2024 within the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information.
This new MOU that we will sign this morning, it will go to March of 2026. And the overarching aim is to build capacity of restorative practices across Jamaica with a focus on school administrators, children, and parents.
The Amber UTech Launchpad signals a significant and meaningful opportunity for Jamaican citizens of all ages and socio-economic backgrounds, including tertiary students, to realize their dreams of establishing thriving businesses.
If you need a plumber to fix a leak at your house, you will be able to go on the Skills on Demand portal and identify plumbing professionals who have registered and who have been verified as having training and certification from HEART.
Education philosophy for Jamaica has been finalized. We have also embarked on a significant procurement in order to outfit our schools. As we witness the signing of this transformative project, this project focuses on developing standards, providing leadership training, and offering specialized certification, and it will undoubtedly strengthen the framework for governance and regulation of special education in Jamaica.
As we reopen this center today, we do so with a renewed sense of purpose and commitment.
Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon will assume duties as Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information.
One of the things we need to remember is that there are many persons out there in our family, community, wider society who may be having challenges, and that these persons sometimes need to be heard, sometimes need to be helped, sometimes need to be hugged, right? And the best we can do to promote mental wellness in our community is just to be there for people, to be able to hear them, to be able to hug them, to be able to help them, you know? And let's all be our brother's keeper and make this place a better place and a place that is conducive to good mental health and mental wellness.
Our next feature highlights the importance of literacy and the role parents and guardians play in fostering a love for reading. Take a look.
What are you doing, young man? Didn't I tell you to go do your homework? Get up and go now.
If no one could read, I wouldn't have to do any homework.
There was no teachers or schools. Because no one could ever read, everything was different. Everyone was trying to figure out what was going on. Only little nosy Supposy knew exactly what was wrong. They asked the maybe family that lived next door, but they couldn't really tell. No one knew for sure. And surprisingly, it was even a mystery for the definitely family. Everyone tried to remember, but it was no good. Because no one could ever read, they forgot all they had learned from books. It is The Adventures of Nosy Supposy, and it is to be a series. The first one is Suppose No One Could Read. So what has happened is that because of how my sons were, they asked a lot of questions all the time. My mom used to say a thing to me, suppose your nose was a doorpost where you put the inches. So I came up with the whole nosy thing out of that, them being a little curious all the time. So I said, and then they would come with the supposing. But mommy, suppose. So I said, don't be a little nosy supposy. So the name came out of that, really. So I just decided to go with The Adventures so that I could teach little things, little lessons out of life lessons out of Nosy Supposy's adventures. And one point that I noted recently that really helps for parents and children to bond when we no longer read to our children. And it is so important that we do, because it creates that time of bonding between parent and child that is so valuable. And we can't say enough how valuable it is.
Shafdan, wake up. You did your homework yet? Get up, get the book, let us go.
Can be little things. Talk to them in story form. You know, bring up things that will kind of stimulate them wanting to know more. Show them books with pictures too, because we have to know that it is important for them to have pictures to look at, bright colors that will stimulate their mind and their eyes and fascinate them.
In a world where the joy of reading can open countless doors, The Adventures of Nosy Supposy serves as a reminder of the profound impact literacy can have on our lives and the importance of nurturing a love for reading in the next generation.
Read a book magazine
Now let's look at some of the key duties of the security forces in the aftermath of an earthquake as they work to ensure the safety and well-being of all Jamaicans.
Jamaica is prone to earthquakes. The country's susceptibility to this natural disaster is because the island sits on a very active Caribbean plate margin. An earthquake is a sudden violent shaking of the ground as a result of movements within the Earth's crust or volcanic action. Although earthquakes can be devastating, the country's security forces are equipped to deal with any eventualities. Once an earthquake happens, both the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force will initiate procedures and set up their communication centers to disseminate information. An individual from each entity would be the liaison officer between the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the security forces. This will aid in efficiently deploying individuals to affected areas.
In the initial phase, the JCF would establish a command post at the Police Emergency Communication Center, gather information as to what transpired or what occurred, and to provide that information to ODPEM.
The security forces will also provide safety, especially where dislocation happens.
We would be required to ensure that the area or areas affected are properly cordoned and secured. We'd have to ensure that routes leading to and from our major hospitals are clear, or to provide information as to the clearest and safest routes to and from those hospitals, and ensure that they are maintained in a safe manner for the emergency units to respond.
A key asset of the JDF in the aftermath of an earthquake is the Disaster Assistant Response Team, DART. This team includes specialized engineers, medical practitioners, and logisticians, among others.
They are so equipped that they can be moved to anywhere in the island and be self-sufficient for a period of time in assisting ODPEM or the government of Jamaica in general with any disaster.
The JDF has many capabilities. Its engineers can help with heavy equipment and search and rescue, while its medical personnel can be projected to other places across the island and assist the Ministry of Health with providing care to injured persons. The JDF also has an air wing that comes in handy during disasters such as earthquakes.
There are strategic aircrafts that we're able to use to hoist goods, equipment, etc. as required from one place to another. In an earthquake, the likelihood of the roadways being blocked or congested exists, and as such the movement of cargo, etc. for assistance will be reduced.
And if there is a fire after an earthquake?
Our aircrafts are also equipped to move personnel as well as to assist the JFB, particularly in areas where we might have fires, fires in urban areas, etc. We are so equipped to use what we call a Bambi bucket system to douse such fires.
The additional assets of the Defense Force provide further assurances to other sections of the island as well.
Now, in the JDF, all soldiers are disaster risk officers. So for those that are in the western side of the island, if the disaster is concentrated in the western side of the island, they have the basic training that is required to then start the process of assisting the ministry elements, ODPM, etc. There until our specialized elements are moved to that area.
Unfortunately, when disasters happen, sometimes there are unscrupulous individuals who carry out acts to capitalize on the vulnerability of others. Both the JCF and the JDF say they are able and willing to prevent crimes of opportunity.
Ensure that those who would want to seize the opportunity to commit crimes, such as looting, don't get that opportunity.
Of course, last but not least, the JDF assists the JCF with internal security, policing, so to speak, within the country. In an earthquake situation, there might be need for key point protection, protecting of key installations to prevent theft, etc. We are ready and able to deploy to assist the JCF to ensure that these things does not happen.
Jamaica has had several major earthquakes and tremors. The earthquake unit, which records seismic activities on the island, recorded a 5.4 magnitude earthquake on January 13, 1993. It was the most significant earthquake recorded since 1957. As a result of this earthquake, Jamaica experienced damage to houses, buildings, and other infrastructure. So although there are no specific times for earthquakes to strike, citizens and other individuals can be assured that the security forces are ready to act if a seismic activity occurs.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security remains dedicated to ensuring that opportunities are accessible to all Jamaicans, including seniors and individuals with disabilities. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. has affirmed that this commitment will be evident throughout the year.
2025 is going to be a very interesting and important year for Jamaica. I want to make sure that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security continues the progress that we have started. There is a lot of transformation taking place in this ministry right now. And it is no one person who is doing it. It is an entire team.
We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.